Scene of one of the grandest settings in all of college football. Cougar Stadium, home of the BYU Cougars. And today, they will host the Texas A&M Aggies. The crowd will be over 55,000. Welcome, everybody. I'm Brent Musburger, and welcome to the start of the longest college football season in history. We start today on August 24th, and then on ABC, the night of January 2nd, the Nokia Sugar Bowl, we will crown the national champion. A lot of changes for you, the fan. Perhaps the biggest one is the fact no more tie games in college football. No, we will have overtime this year if there's a tie at the end of regulation, and overtime in which each school will handle the ball at least once. Conference realignments. Take a look at the new makeup of the Big 12. You can see that Texas A&M now is in the Southern Division as the Old Southwest and the Big 8 conferences come together to form the Big 12. And then the WAC, the largest conference in the history of college athletics. BYU will be in the Mountain Division. There are 16 teams, and on December 7th, they will have a championship game. I welcome my colleague, Dick Vermeil. Dick, nice to have you back. A lot of excitement this year in college football.
Oh, a lot of excitement. And, Brent, I think it's going to follow the pattern sent last year. If you look at these graphics on the screen.
And the Aggies pour onto the field here in Provo, Utah. A lot of their fans have traveled up from Texas for this game. But now the BYU side of the story, Coach, and it's always the same. Here comes that passing offense. Steve Sarkisian is their starting quarterback again. He really wound up the season on a high note. Look at what he did against Fresno State, 31 of 34.
You know what's amazing about it? He was a JC transfer, so that was his last game. It was his first year in the BYU offense. You can look for him to be better today, but maybe not recreate those kind of statistics. He hasn't faced the pass rush like he's going to see today.
BYU hope to add some speed to their lineup here today. Take a look at these two youngsters. Brian McKenzie on the left, a Ballyhoo JC transfer. And then, ladies and gentlemen, on the right is Ronnie Jenkins out of California. In one high school game, he rushed for 619 yards, and he scored 7 touchdowns. I'm not making it up. Their coach is Lavelle Edwards. He's down below now with Jackaroo.
Well, Coach, for the first time in 17 years, you didn't go to a bowl game last year. What about this team this year?
I think this team will earn a chance to go to a bowl game. It's going to be a good ball club.
Early start for BYU football. What are your concerns about conditioning?
Well, there'll be no problem with conditioning, and the big problem is going to be block A&M's rush. But we'll just go out there and play it and go to work.
Time to let the troops go.
Thank you.
Well, folks, you can help us out now because this is your chance to vote for your favorite top 10 team. This is the Burger King fan poll. Now, over on the right, you see the AP preseason top 10. You can only vote for one of those schools. Now, call 1-900-773-3000. Cast your vote now for the top team in the nation. The cost is 50 cents. The lines are going to be open until near the end of our halftime show. So if they're busy, keep calling and then watch during the Valvoline halftime 96 for the results. Remember again the phone number, 1-900-773-3000. So our scene is set here in Provo, Utah, and we are set to begin the longest college season in history. We'll open with BYU and Texas A&M. The Thrifty Car Rental Pigskin Classic on ABC Sports, brought to you by great cars in over 50 countries around the world. Best of all, it's Thrifty. Chili's Grill and Bar, home of the Big Mouth Burgers. Pontiac and your local Pontiac dealer. We are driving excitement and smooth Busch beer and easy drinking Busch Light. Bob Demick, the Vice President of Marketing at Thrifty Car Rentals, with the first coin toss of the new season. Ethan Hotchman, number 37, a former soccer star out of the state of Washington, Mercer Island. And the college season is underway. from the 3-yard line. And the ball will be put in play at the 17-yard line as Michael Jennings returns the opening kickoff for the Aggies. And here is Brandon Stewart, the young man from Tennessee. Competed against Peyton Manning with the Volunteers, sat out last year. He's out of Stephenville, Texas. And now this is his attack, and he will bring it out. And you will see our Chili's starting lineups, the backs and receivers who he will be working with. Albert Connell, number 80, a year ago led the Aggies in catches, yards, TDs, yards per catch. He's the first all-conference receiver for the Aggies since 1986. Bernard is starting at running back. Stewart's going to throw on first down. Very elusive. He completes it to the 25-yard line. Forward progress will be stopped right there. Hawkins, who has started at wide receiver with the first reception of the game behind this offensive line for the Aggies. Calvin Collins, their center, with his 34th career start. 300-pounder who bench presses 410 pounds, moved from guard to center because of a late injury. And now it will be second down and short. Make it 2 yards for the Aggies. A one-back attack. Bernard is short of the first down. Ayu, number 90, was one of the blue-shirted defenders in there with Martin, a linebacker, number 10. And we can meet the Cougar defense here starting today. Shea Muirbrook is the man in the middle. He, of course, was all Western Athletic Conference a year ago, 6'1", 235. Questions about the defensive backfield, but they do have some ballyhooed JC transfer in that secondary. Omar Morgan, number 1. Keep an eye on him. And the Cougars again make a strong defensive stand led by Reed. Spencer Reed, the junior from Samoa, in to make the play that time. You can see that he teams with Brad Martin, and Muirbrook is there in the middle. So the linebackers make it 3 and out for the Aggies, and Brandon Stewart and Shane Leckler into punt. He'll stand on the Aggie 10-yard line. James Dye, the leading punt return man in the nation. Back deep for the Cougars. He's Mr. Excitement in Provo. Got it at the 30-yard line. Looks for a crease. Not to be. Nailed at the 34-yard line. First down now for the Cougars. And they will come in with Steve Sarkisian. He's the senior quarterback out of Torrance, California. He will run the offense. 2 tight ends who are very talented. There are the stats for Sarkisian, what he accomplished last year for BYU. Mealy and Lewis are his 2 very talented tight ends. They open with a 3-pack slot receiver over to the left, that wide open attack. They throw the swing pass out of the backfield. Atuea is in that starting backfield. And you can see the 2 tight ends we referred to. They will be a load before this game is over. 88 and 96. The offensive line is anchored by the center, Larry Moore, number 62. They will rally around him, but keep an eye on the tackles. 73 and 75 must hold up today. So with the completion on the swing pass, make it 2nd and 6. Atuea to the right side. And he is, I believe, just short of a first down. We will check it out now as we take a look at this Aggie defensive unit. And folks down in Texas, remember, this is one of the best. They know it oh so well, and they're about to learn all around the country. Keith Mitchell, number 23, one of the great rush defensive linemen in the country. And he will flip-flop according to the offensive formation all day long. Here's the question mark about the Aggies. Donovan Greer and Andre Williams, both corners, are coming off knee surgeries. They must hold up today. Toya Jones, in his first year at that important free safety. Rich Cody's daddy played for the Chicago Bears. He's back there at strong safety. So the officials have completed their measurement, and they will bring the ball back and spot it now. It will be 3rd and 1. So, Dick Vermeil, what have we seen here so far with the Cougar attack?
Well, I think offensively, if they can convert this first down, and having stopped A&M with their first series, it would be a big emotional list, a confidence builder right off the bat, Brent.
Time remaining in the opening quarter here. The second year that the Pigskin Classic has been played on a college campus. A year ago, it was a dandy in Ann Arbor. Michigan and Virginia decided on the last play of the game. 3rd and short now for the Cougars. And Sarkisian keeps it for the first down. Down we go to Jackaroo.
Well, Brent, offensive coordinator for BYU, Norm Chow, must have breathed a very big sigh of relief right there, because yesterday he had a scare at home. His son plays football in a nearby high school. Texas A&M went there to practice. So he said to his son, hey, son, you had a chance to scout the defense, scout the offense of A&M. How good are they? And all his son said is, oh, Dad, oh, my gosh, Dad. Norm said he didn't sleep much.
And understandably so, with a wrecking crew on the field. But Chow's offensive unit picks up a first down on their first series. Quick drop by Sarkisian. He's now 2 for 2. Mealy breaks free. 30. Mealy down the sideline. Mealy inside the 10 and out of bounds at the 5-yard line. One of their talented tight ends.
See, that's the disadvantage of playing tight man-to-man. They run a crossing pattern real tight to the line of scrimmage. They scrape and rub off, and Mealy, a great big tight end at 250 pounds, coming out there running with the speed of a wide receiver. He catches the ball cleanly. Now it's up to the pursuit to make the play. So see what I'm talking about right here. Right-hand side of your screen, they pick him off right there in that tight man coverage. Up the field he goes. The safety can't make the play on that big receiver. Used to tackling a wide receiver, not a tight end.
A 48-yard gain for the Cougars. A 1st and goal on their opening sequence. Mealy thought he was going to be given a break, but he was not. They have been lethal inside the 20. They can throw, and BYU does. Diving catch, and it's an opening touchdown for the Cougars. Sarkisian from the 5-yard line comes back to his other tight end, Chad Lewis. So we mentioned the key would be the tight ends, and they are. Potchman on to attempt the extra point. The punter Boardman puts it down, and it is blocked. It's a free ball. The defense picks it up on the 3, but out of bounds, and that'll end it right there. 6-0. A missed extra point. This a dandy grab by the 235-pound, 6-foot, 6-inch tight end, Chad Lewis. A vertical leap of 38 inches. He showed you why he's such an outstanding athlete.
It's the perfect. Chad Lewis, the scoring tight end, came off underneath, got into the end zone. Mealy, the right tight end, came off a little bit deeper, and there was linebacker congestion in the coverage. You'll see this as the plays run. He comes off underneath. There he goes, right there. Pick off linebackers, touchdown. Tough to cover that in that tight area, especially with the big, strong, physical guys.
Hodgman. His extra point blocked. It's 6-0. Jennings and Hall back deep for the Aggies. Jennings driven back deep in the end zone, and Potchman with a strong leg buries the Aggies back inside their end zone, and Brandon Stewart will bring it out on the 20-yard line, trailing 6-0.
You know, when you don't see this style BYU offense all year, like in your conference years past, and you come in and have to defense it right off the bat in the opening game, I'll tell you, it takes you a while from a defensive standpoint to settle down, and it also takes the coordinators and the rest of the defensive coaches time to zero in on what they're doing.
The Aggies line up in the eye. BYU defense made it 3 and out on their first defensive series of the game. And they run Sir Parker, tender ankle and all, swinging over to the left side for about 8 yards before Reed, who made a big play on that first series, brings him down.
They wanted to go up inside, but Shane Yearbrook, the fine inside linebacker, stepped right up, took the fullback, stuffed him in the hole. They forced him to bounce to the outside. Now the pursuit can come from inside out and make the play. Very fine linebacking play by Shane Yearbrook.
DeAndre Hardiman offsets at fullback. He'll lead the way. Parker cuts back, first down, and then some. Parker breaks into the secondary and out to the 43-yard line with Ellison, the strong safety, bringing him down for the Cougars.
You'll notice that Steve Ensminger, the offensive coordinator for A&M, is using a different formation on every offensive play, and he's going to do that the first couple series so he can zero in on the defense. Here's Muirbrook, 46, the right side of your screen. He has to go underneath the block, then gets tripped. A linebacker should never go underneath the block unless he can get there. A mistake on his part.
The eye again. Hardiman in front of Eric Bernard, who replaces Parker on first down. This is Bernard, smacked in the middle. Nothing doing on that play as the Cougars wrapped it up. Really? And that was Bloomfield who got it done. Henry Bloomfield, the senior.
Again, a fine linebacker attacking. Here he is right here. He's going to attack the isolation play. When you do that, everything happens in the backfield. Now he'll get help from the defensive lineman. Boom, then he makes contact. No place to cut back. Good linebacking play.
Stewart of the Aggies with a 2nd and 9. Hardiman offsets right. Fake to Bernard. Stewart incomplete. The ball is through the tight end Derek Spiller's hands, and a penalty flag thrown by the referee.
Roughing the passer.
Roughing the passer on the defense, number 76. Automatic first down, 15 yards.
Concentrate on the top of the screen. He comes off the play action fake, and I believe it was 56, not 76. Here he comes right there and hits him late from the blind side.
Well, I have 2 thoughts. I'll get to that right after this first down on that, Dick, because you're exactly right. This is Bernard swinging to the left side for the Aggies. Cuts back, and Bernard is fumbled, picked up by the Aggies. Aggies recovered it. And when they bring it back to that spot where it was fumbled, that should give them a first down, and it does. Let me just give you 2 thoughts. First of all, the number was incorrect from the referee, but it's early in the season. That was an offensive lineman's number. But secondly, Dick, did I miss something? Are they now going to give the numbers of the penalties of the offensive linemen in college football?
Not that I know of. No one told me that if they are.
That's a rule change I must have missed.
Maybe he did an NFL game last night.
Might have. First down and 10 now for the Aggies. They move inside the 25-yard line. They go to a one-back, and they line up 2 tight ends, and it's Sir Parker. Left side collapses in a hurry with Yancey. Darren Yancey out of Blackfoot, Idaho, making the stop for the Cougs.
The play of the offset tackle, defensive tackle, Henry Bloomfield, number 91, on the nose, tilted like the old Pittsburgh Steelers defense, is causing the A&M offensive lineman problems, and he's pushing everything to the sideline right now, and therefore Yancey, the defensive end, was just waiting for the play.
Hardiman offsets right. Stewart, good runner with the option and the pitch to Parker. He's sealed and slips anyway. At the 28-yard line, nothing doing.
Good inside-out pursuit on that speed option. Quarterback comes right down the line of scrimmage. Nothing to slow down the pursuit. You're relying on linemen cutting off inside-out pursuit. They didn't get it done. BYU showing me more defensive speed than I anticipated coming in here. See, inside-out pursuit now will make the play. Sir Parker has real good speed, but he can't go anywhere there.
It is 3rd and 13. Aggies trail by a touchdown. Slot formation left for Stewart. Wants to set the screen. Bernard makes a dandy catch. Left side, inside to the 22-yard line. Saves some yards. That could have been an incompletion very easily.
It was a good screen, a good call, but Bernard was too close to the screen wall. To the right side of your screen. See, he sets up right in all those linemen. He's got to give a little cushion there so he has room to react. The screen people do a pretty good job if he was a little further removed from the screen. First game of the season, working out the rhythm.
Well, Dick, here comes the hero of the Alamo Bowl. Trots onto the field. This is Kyle Bryan. Grew up in College Station. Was only 7 of 15 in the regular season, but he was the MVP against Michigan when he nailed 5 field goals for the Aggies in that bowl victory. His first one of the new season, no good. But hold on, there is a flag down on the play, so they will sort it out here. So with the illegal procedure penalty against Texas A&M, Coach R.C. Slocum starts his 8th season, getting an explanation down on the Aggie sideline from one of the crew.
Prior to the snap,
And so they can't refuse it.
on the offense, 5 yards, repeat the down.
So it gives Bryant a second chance, but the ball is backed up now, and it'll be spotted at about the 34-yard line. Make this around 44 yards for Kyle Bryant. So he's had a chance to warm up. Here he comes from the left hash.
That 5-yard penalty cost him about a 10% efficiency in kicking field goals that far, Brent.
And this time it is good. How about that for a bad break for the Cougars? He misses his first one, but after the warm out, he nails the longer one, and he cuts the lead in half.
Long ago, an inventor came up with the...
They both say kind words about each other. I think that Brandon has certainly done the right thing here.
Well, you know, they show they have confidence in him because very first play under center for Texas A&M, what did they do? They throw the football.
Trailing by 3. He'll throw it again on first down, and it is perfect for about 7 yards. They put the ball in the hands of Connell with Morgan, the JC transfer, number 1. The defensive back on that corner was also recruited by Texas A&M. Remember, this is a school that needed to fill that cornerback spot after Mickens moved on to the National Football League. But Morgan elected to come here. He gives BYU a little bit more speed in that defensive backfield. 2nd down and 4 for Stewart and the Aggies. Bernard is the running back. They'll put it in his hands. Battling for a first down behind the left side. And speaking of Stewart, let's go to Jackaroo.
Well, remember, Brent, Brandon Stewart knew that Peyton Manning was coming to Tennessee. And this is the type of character that Brandon Stewart is. He says, hey, look, it means that I'll be able to go head-to-head with what many think is the best super prep quarterback. He went there, went head-to-head, and we'll tell you a little more about why he left later in the game.
Jack Bernard picked up the first down for the Aggies, so Stewart with a fresh series. First down out at the 42-yard line. Penalty flag is down on this play. Incomplete, and again the tight end Spiller having some difficulty hanging on to the ball, but there is a penalty flag thrown by the linesman.
Well, they didn't throw the ball to the tight end very much last year. Derek Spiller caught one pass, Brent. You know, there's no excuse for dropping that one.
Offsides, number 9 on the defense. 5 yards, still first down.
The offensive coaches are very high on this young tight end's ability. They think he's going to be able to make the big play for them, and they have a lot of offense designed to take advantage of his speed and mobility as a receiver. You can see he's lined up offside right here. He's over the ball. You see that? You know, he's got to check back inside as he lines up. That receiver off the line of scrimmage pulls him that deep.
On a first down again, and that was Bernard. A little bit healthier than Parker, so he's getting a few more carries here as Ed Keel, number 56, brings him down for the Cougars.
Ken Schmidt, the defensive coordinator's concern for BYU was if they could hold up inside the 2 defensive tackle spots and the middle linebacker. He felt they were a little bit outmanned in there and outexperienced in there, and he was concerned. So they're going to run some games and stunts inside there to help defensively. 1st and 10, Aggies into Cougar territory. Play fake, Stewart, roll right, good on the move. This time it is caught at the 40. Oh, but Stewart recovers it. The quarterback, Brandon Stewart, over on that side, fell on the loose ball. And it is being brought out to the spot where it was received, and it is ruled a dead ball at the point of the reception, and McTire is saying, what do you have to do? They must have called forward progress and blew the whistle, because he definitely stripped him before he went down to the turf. Omar Morgan is playing extremely tight. You'll see on the ISO right here, he's not giving him much room. I would go by him, give him a little move and try to get by him, soften up that coverage.
Morgan, the JC transfer. They run ahead with Hardiman behind the left side. They were second and short, and Hardiman battling for that first down. So while they measure, let's remind you that they will play the championship of the Little League World Series on ABC's Wide World Sports. Cranston, Rhode Island against the team from Chinese Taipei. That'll be live from South Williamsport, Pennsylvania. And we'll get a look at the Travers Stakes from Saratoga, all coming up next on Wide World. There you can see the defense. That, of course, is Muirbrook telling the coaches how far they have to go for the first down. Dick, one of the things that announcing numbers of penalties does, I think it helps the coaches as much as anybody. How many times have we seen coaches in college football call an official? Who was it? Who did that? Who was that?
He better call the right one, though.
So let's make this third and less than a yard now. Stewart, a good runner, might have liked just to keep this himself. And he does. Powers down to the 35-yard line.
Awfully nice surge by Cameron Spikes, the big young offensive lineman, number 73 at the right tackle spot. They believe that he's going to be one of the finest offensive linemen to ever play there. The surge, the left side of your screen, they come off the ball and just get a real good push. They let the outside linebacker come out free. They're not going to go out there. They want the surge inside.
Aggies moving again, trailing by 3. BYU scoring on its first possession. Then the extra point was blocked. Aggies with a field goal. Stewart now handing to Parker, who's back right side. Comes down the sideline to the 25-yard line. Jack, Brandon Stewart, let's see, we met his mommy and his daddy here yesterday. I also met an aunt and an uncle. The Stewarts are really excited about the young man coming back to Texas.
They really are, Brent. And according to his dad, the reason that Brandon left can be traced all the way back to the Alabama game, when Brandon replaced Manning early in the game after Manning had a shaky performance. He brought the team back to a 3-3 tie by halftime, and according to his dad, he thought that Brandon was going to be able to come out in the second half. He didn't, and his dad says that's when Brandon decided to leave school and transfer to his second choice, Texas A&M.
And, of course, the reason why there's so much ballyhoo surrounding Stewart, I believe, is because of the publicity around Peyton Manning. I mean, Manning is certainly one of the favorites to win the Heisman Trophy. Dick, you and I had Peyton down in the Citrus Bowl against Ohio State. We know how impressed we are with the young man. Both of them deserve a chance to start, and I'm just dreaming. Suppose on the night of January 2nd, just suppose.
Wouldn't that be something? Yeah, that would be.
So it's a first down now for the Aggies. Ball is inside the Cougars' 25-yard line. Opening quarter, 6-3, BYU leading Texas A&M. Movement by the defense, but let's see if the offensive line flinched down there. Honig will come up, and he and the umpire will sort it all out down here.
You know, Calvin Collins, the offensive center playing for Texas A&M, started the season as a guard and had been playing guard, and is now playing center due to an injury inside there.
Offsides on the defense. 5 yards. Still first down.
There's Collins right there, a 3-time All-Southwest Conference, starting his 33rd consecutive game. That's a lot of football. And is he a man? You should see this guy run, Brent. They'll pull him on sweeps from the center position, and he gets around that corner like a blur for a 300-pounder.
So that makes it 1st and 5. Hardiman at the fullback spot. Takes the quick handoff on the quick hitter, hoping to surprise the Cougars. Yancey was ready.
Well, they want to pound on them just enough to keep the defense constricted so they can get the quarterback outside on their waggle and bootleg actions. They've already done it one time. We'll see it many times. They have 7 varieties of misdirection quarterback outside on the corner type pass actions in the game plan.
Stewart is so mobile. This is where you don't want him out of containment. 2nd down and 5. Set in the eye formation. They'll toss now to Parker behind Hardiman. Parker with a seam. Parker inside. Touchdown, Texas A&M. I noticed one of those little things that you pick up in college football. After Parker stepped into the end zone, he hands the ball to the official. He gets no chance for a celebration. Coach?
Gets a good caught block by the tight end and a lead seal block by the guards. Semusi Himuli gets around there and he seals it off inside. Right there. There's the hole. Good offensive line execution by a tight end and a strong side guard.
Now Bryant for the extra point. Aggies lead it for the first time. High snap, put down, perfect for Bryant. A field goal, now an extra point, and Texas A&M leads BYU in the Pigskin Classic 10-6.
Offense being prepared to play in the opener, and number 2, my kicking game. Number 3, my offense. And LaBelle Edwards, shown here on the screen, has his special teams, as does R.C. Slocum, prepared to play.
They come out without a huddle, as they have all game long. The first play is called on the sideline. 1st and 10. The ball is at the 43-yard line. Connell is wide to Stewart's left. They've been throwing on 1st down. They do again, incomplete. Overthrew the tight end, Derek Spiller.
Real good pressure by Dennis Simmons, the outside linebacker. He was coming on that, so he wasn't faked out in any way. He just on a one-man linebacker dog right in his face, forced the high throw. Good change-up call by defensive coordinator there, Ken Schmidt, because a linebacker can't get in the quarterback's face in the backfield unless the signal caller calls him to get there.
Dante Hawkins, the wide receiver, to the near side. Slot formation for Stewart.
Come on.
And it is Bernard. Slips to the 44-yard line. This will leave the Aggies with 3rd and long and put Stewart in an obvious passing situation. Here's how the two have fared so far, Coach.
Pretty even, except Sarkisian's got that one touchdown. You want to try to stay out of these 3rd and longs because they are really tough to convert.
Aaron Oliver is that slot receiver over on the left side. Stewart looks in that direction. The pocket holds, comes back into the middle to Oliver. At the 45-yard line, 1st down, Aggies into BYU territory.
There were a lot of things that happened perfectly on that throw, Brent, to convert on that 3rd and long. But the number one thing was time given to the quarterback. He gets back here, sets up, pass rushers are coming outside. He can move around in the pocket all the time in the world to allow a little slower pattern to develop. Comes back inside, right in the middle of your screen, makes the 1st down. Good pass protection.
Now it's Bernard into the middle. Battles to the 36-yard line. And this will leave the Aggies in 2nd and short. This is a down the offense loves with a minute to go here in the opening quarter.
Muirbrook loves to attack the fullback. He attacked the fullback. The inside linebacker attacked the fullback that time. But Bernard cut back away from that block, and there was no backside linebacker to fill that hole. That backside linebacker has to fill that hole.
2nd and 2 with the Aggies starting to wear the Cougars down a bit here in the opening quarter. The fullback right straight ahead.
Nice block by Steve McKinney, the big offensive left guard. I'll tell you, he came off the ball like he was mad at the world.
Mark Broyles with his first carry of the game, number 33.
33 seconds to go. They have all 3 timeouts. They don't care which end they're going to kick from here, I guess, if they don't get it in the end zone.
Changing the play. They split the backs.
They weren't going to audible very much in game plan.
He liked Connell popped up on that side.
Good inside-out play by Chris Ellison, number 4 The safety there, boy, he really flashed inside out. It was a nice play there, young man. He's out of El Camino Junior College. He was Sarkeesian's roommate in junior college.
The first quarter has come to an end. The Texas A&M Aggies leading BYU 10-6 at the Pigskin Classic. The Thrifty Car Rental Pigskin Classic. Texas A&M and BYU from Provo, Utah, with the Aggies leading at 10-6 and on the move. Second down and 8 at the Cougar 30-yard line. Brandon Stewart is the quarterback. Eric Bernard and Mark Broyles in the backfield. This is Bernard, and he is near the 25-yard line.
A&M has changed their offense a lot, Brent. They're going to try to, if they have two backs, they're not going to be in the I formation very much. If they're in an I, there's going to have a back offset, so he can get out in a pass pattern much quicker when he's offset, either behind the weak side tackle or strong side tackle, or they're going to be in split back, so they can get out in the passing game mode.
Third down and 4 yards to go. Again, Stewart elects to change the play at the line. Morgan backs off from Connell. He wants that matchup deflected, almost intercepted, and Muirbrook could not hold on.
It was definitely deflected there. He had that one-on-one coverage there in that 3rd and 5 situation, and he wanted to go for the big one. 1, 2, 3-step drop, fire, and there it is. That's Spencer Reed, 41, jumping up there and batting it down. I don't think you should ever turn an outside linebacker loose on a quick throw, especially because he ends up right in the throwing lane. I think they've made a mistake in blocking scheme.
Now it is Kyle Bryant, and this will be a 43-yarder. He is 1 for 1 after a penalty. Gave him a second chance following a missed field goal. This one's long enough. And he's got another one. So the man who beat Michigan with 5 field goals comes in here to start this season with 2 against BYU. Here in force in Provo, leading at 13-6, and Bryant to kick it off again now for them, and speed galore back deep for the Cougars. Into a little bit of a breeze. He may not be quite as long this way. I say may not because he has a very strong leg. And that's considerably shorter. And this is young Jenkins from the 5-yard line over on the angle. 15-20. Scooting out. And there's the young man from Ventura, California. He runs a 4.340, and the coaches on that far side have to be drooling about getting the ball.
Our football. Well, let's watch this play and we'll talk to Carl some more.
On the first play, the running back behind the left side, Bernard, and back we go to Jack.
Carl, let's talk about the style of play in the Western Athletic Conference. They put it up in the air a lot of high scoring. Is that what you think is going to be good for the 21st century?
Well, it always has been. It'll be interesting to see the changes with some of the Southwest Conference teams coming in. I know that defensively our coaches know they have to play some defense to win as well.
Well, on December 7th, and Brent maybe will be there, but I know ABC will, in Las Vegas, we'll have a WAC championship game right here on ABC.
All right, Jack, thank you. Let me correct a mistake. I said that was Bernard. That was DeAndre Hardiman, number 20, who got the carry just a short time ago for 4 yards. Leaves the Aggies with a 2nd and 6. And the fellow bringing the water is told by the referee, yeah, man, this is not a timeout. Just go on back there and struck down with that water and waited time. 12:40 to go. Aggies with the ball and the lead. Set in the I formation. More I than they showed against Michigan. This is Sir Parker, who scored the game's touchdown for Texas A&M. First down, Aggies, running very well, despite the fact that the coaches were concerned about that tender ankle.
Right, Shea Muirbrook, the inside linebacker, number 46, has been successful of scraping off inside, but this time, from the middle linebacker spot coming inside, he does not make the play. He misses it. See, there he is right there. He misses the play, and up inside, the run breaks. Well, if you're going to get up inside, you've got to get up inside and make the play.
First down and 10. Hardiman moves to the wing on the right side. Stewart to throw again on first down. Short drop. Great catch at the 30-yard line.
Well, he dropped an easy pass and caught a very difficult pass. a skilled athlete, ranked the #2 athlete in the off-season training program through all the physical fitness tests they give him. He goes up there, absorbs the punishment, comes down with a football.
4 yards on the catch by Derek Spiller. Now on second down. And from that eye, it's Parker again. And Hale coming up from that safety spot.
That was a nice place by Lane Hale. Nice play. Strong safety. He sat there. He watched what happened. He was sure it was a run. They bounced him back, and he came up there, knees bent, shoulder pads parallel, and really whacked him a nice one. Good play by young Lane Hale.
Third down and 4. Backs are split. It gives Stewart another option on a passing play.
They're coming after him up the side.
Stewart hit on the release, diving catch, and first down, Texas A&M on 3rd and 4. He hits Dante Hawkins.
Boy, he's lucky he did not get hurt. That is Brandon Stewart. They ran a stunt up inside, brought the inside linebackers on cross charges. They got to him, hit him at the knee. He threw the completion. I have seen a number of times a quarterback get hurt being hit like that because he's stepping forward with that lead knee. In fact, BYU makes their quarterbacks wear a knee brace on their left knee, Brent. He took a shot on that one.
Ball out to the 42. We'll see how Stewart looks on this play after taking that hit. On the handoff to Parker. Seemed to move pretty well on the deep handoff that time. Dick, did you notice anything?
No, I did not notice anything. I'll tell you what I did notice, so great concentration on that throw for completion. There were people all over him, and when a stunt happens and a linebacker blitz happens right in front of the quarterback, he sees it coming. So many quarterbacks panic a little bit, and there's another guy that doesn't panic. That's Muirbrook, number 46. He's a Butkus nominee and has played well so far today. Missed that tackle, overran it.
10-10. Stewart. Touchdown, Aggies.
When there's no free safety down there, they're up playing tighter coverage because they committed other people. He throws it down the hole. There's no help to the inside. That is really tough on a corner to cover that kind of play. Eddie Sampson is a safety playing in that situation. He's not used to that tight man-to-man coverage. And with no help inside, if the quarterback throws it complete, it's a big one. And that's just what he did.
Ryan in to attempt the extra point after the 57-yard touchdown pass. 7 more points. Texas A&M 20, BYU 6 here in the Pigskin Classic.
Deep, they go man-to-man because they're blitzing the linebacker. Here it comes, post pattern. He's on a safety now. He gives him a little stick to the outside, moves inside, and our Aaron Oliver takes it home. Boy, that's tough on a free safety. He's a normal free safety, but in that coverage, he has to play a slot man, man-to-man, and he proved he couldn't do it in that situation.
57-yard Aggie touchdown, and it's 26 here at the Thrifty Car Rental. Pigskin freshman out of Aurora, Colorado, and Boardman punting for the Cougars.
Not a good punt.
Side of his foot. Going to get lucky. Going to take a big bounce. Jenny's fumble. Cougars have it. Greg White down the field for BYU, recovers the fumble.
Mike Jennings, the return man, a redshirt freshman, showing the inexperience. He tried to reach for the ball, at the same time back away from the ball. He was timid at that time. See, the ball's rolling. Now watch him reach a little bit, and he's not really concentrating on it. See, you've got to move into that ball, scoop it up, and get on the ground. Otherwise, just get away from it. Redshirt freshman making his first big mistake. He actually looked like he was signaling other people to stay away from it.
So we've got a timeout call right now with 8:08 to go as the Cougars coming up on a very important series. We'll utilize the timeout, and there's a scene with a veteran Collins over there with a young man saying, don't worry about it. It's early. People make mistakes. Time to learn. You're only a freshman. You've got plenty of time. There's that leadership. This is a very close-knit group. There you can see an assistant coach is now embracing the young man down below. A learning opportunity for him.
That was Ken Rucker, the running back coach, talking to him. It's a learning situation, but I'll tell you this, you profit by a mistake proportionally to how much you suffer when you make it. And it's a coach's job to make sure that he suffers a little bit. Now, a young kid like that, you treat him gingerly.
Well, we have an opportunity. We would like to welcome a new affiliate to the ABC TV network. News Channel 4, Charleston, South Carolina, one of the loveliest cities in this grand country. And we're proud to have them on our college football team, beginning with today's game. So welcome to News Channel 4 from Charleston, South Carolina. 8:08 to go first half. Cougars with an opportunity now to tighten it up. Very important series. 1st and 10 inside the Aggie 25-yard line. Sarkisian is the quarterback for BYU. They fake it in round. They're going to throw in the hole, middle, incomplete. And Capo McGuire was hit in the end zone, but I don't even know that the ball was catchable to begin with.
It wasn't, Brent. It wasn't, and that's incidental contact. There was no way they could call any pass interference on that. They go after him right there. They fake the reverse to try to freeze the safeties and allow that pattern to get in behind him. It got in behind him, but he ran out of end zone room, and the quarterback threw it too deep.
Another look. They fake the end around. That freezes the defense just enough. Now the pass certainly not catchable, so contact doesn't matter. Remember, that is a new rule which is going to be emphasized this year in college football, the pass interference rule. Now here's the Cougars with a 2nd and 10. Ball on the 23-yard line. Sarkisian flush right, safety valve, puts the ball in the hands of the running back who had slipped out to the right-hand side that time.
Mark Altuve. See, he laid that off under pressure. They came after him up inside. He showed poise. He stepped off over to his right and just laid it out there. You'll see the pressure coming from the right side of the screen. He feels it. Right now, he knows he's in trouble. He lays it out there. Good, strong running by Mark Altuve.
3rd and 2. He stays in, coach. That running back gets the call, and he is met on a brilliant defensive play that time by Texas A&M, but the whistle may have sounded as Greer was coming up out of the defensive backfield. Walker, with his great speed, was in there that time.
Yeah, I'll tell you, you talk about great speed. Walker supposedly last year was the fastest linebacker in college football at running under 4.4. Taking a look at this ball, looks like it. You can call that a fumble. He's hanging on, and marked down. Wow.
4th down. Time left in the first half. Kalaluhi in motion. Sarkisian looks away from him. Underneath. Wow. McGuire is nailed. The play dead immediately as soon as the helmet comes off the receiver. That too a new rule this year. As soon as that helmet went flying, the whistle sounds in college football. What a lick by Donovan Greer.
Boy, I'll tell you, that was a vicious hit. He's coming inside out, a crossing pattern to the bottom left-hand side of your screen. He throws it, he gets it tucked away, and Donovan Greer nails him, as you said, Brent. Boy, that hurt.
But a big first down. On 4th down, the Cougars have the first down outside of the 10-yard line. Here's a fresh series of plays now for BYU. So McGuire holds on to the football. Lewis is the tight end to the left now. Sarkisian will hand off right into the middle. Johnson going behind the left side. And the linebacker, Warwick Holdman, making the stop.
They tried to draw a trap, and Holdman read it and ran up inside. They got the trap block, but Holdman, with his good reading of what was going on, stuffed up and filled that hole nicely. He's a real good football player, played well for him last year. #1 linebacker in many of the athletic skills that they test kids in the offseason. He's a talented player like the rest of them.
Young Brian McKenzie, now a junior, checks into that backfield. He is number 20. He is behind Sarkisian. Mealy's over to the right. Fake McKenzie. Sarkisian on the roll. Fires back. Touchdown! Mealy, the tight end from the right side, working his way back to the middle for the Cougars.
I think they'll go ahead and kick it being down by 8. But I'll tell you, that's a difficult throw, Brent. Rolling left and throwing a crossing pattern coming from the tight end, the opposite side of the field. He starts in one direction. Now he'll come back, moving to the right side of your screen. Receiver coming from back inside him. Unbelievable throw and a nice catch. That is very difficult to throw, especially with a man in your face.
Hutchman nails the extra point. The turnover on the punt, the difference, and BYU climbs back into this game.
These days,
Starts in his high school career. The leading punt return man, they will go away from him and out of bounds. They will not put it in his hands. It's going to be marked at the 26-yard line. Sarkisian and the Cougars will take over there. Here's a reminder, tomorrow night on ABC, Diana Ross stars in the Sunday night movie Out of Darkness. But first, we have an hour of America's Funniest Home Videos, followed by Lois and Clark. That's tomorrow night on ABC. First down and 10. Cougars come up trailing Texas A&M 20-13, and Jenkins in the backfield gets his first carry from scrimmage to the 27-yard line.
I think overall, the offensive line coach at BYU, Roger Prince, has got to be very pleased with the play of his two young tackles. He's got a freshman and a redshirt freshman there playing in those positions, and they're holding up. So far, they've done a good job on those two tight ends, or defensive ends, rather, Brent. And, you know, it's going to be harder to rush the passer in the fourth quarter than it is right now. So he's got to be very pleased with Roger Prince, the offensive line coach.
Time remaining in the first half on the right side. 2nd and 9 for Sarkisian and the Cougars. They fake the draw. Mealy again at the first down marker. Chow making sure he gets the spot that he wants.
Mealy to the left side of your screen. See the action inside, froze the linebackers, and he comes out there. The coverage gets there late because of the action. And boy, does he show athletic ability. Good high knee stepping guy. Graceful man for a 250-pounder.
Coach Chow says, what are you doing over here?
Get over here.
Get back in there.
Get in there, man. Make me look good. Third down conversions, they haven't been doing a very good job. Coming after him.
Make the draw again. And they throw. Great catch by Lewis. And he gets the first down.
Very tight coverage like you have to do in those third situations, especially when you're blitzing people inside. Warwick Holden was all over him like a sweat, but couldn't stop the first down.
You know, Chad Lewis is truly one of the fine tight ends. He's a candidate to be All-American this year. He married one of the former volleyball stars from BYU, Michelle. And Michelle and he are expecting their first child next month. It is 1st and 10 now for the Cougars. The ball at the 36-yard line. There's Chad, sits down now. Very good at getting off the line. Stays in the block this time. Sarkisian under pressure and nimbly gets away and is whacked out of bounds at the 34-yard line. Cody and Holdman were over there defensively for the Aggies.
They had a protection that called for the running back to pick up the defensive end, and the protection blocked away from him, and the running back missed the block. Therefore, Keith Mitchell was in his face and flushed him. You'll see Mitchell, 23, jumped over the block and pushed him outside. Good pursuit, good white jerseys coming inside out, no place to go, and good poise to not just throw the ball up for grabs. They say Sarkisian's strength is his mental awareness of what's going on. Makes very few dumb plays.
2nd and 12, and they'll bring James Dye on. He's wide left. Aggies are locked up one-on-one. Bump and run. Sarkisian looks in that direction. Going to go long. Wants Dye. Got him. Dye at the 34-yard line.
They were 4 across the board in that coverage. He read the coverage perfectly. It's 1-on-1. The corner has no help inside with the release of the inside receivers like they're playing it. He throws it right on the money, and they have to push these guys deep. They have to push them deep. He had good protection. Takes a nice little play action draw fake, sets it up there, and throws it down the hole. And with no safety in there, boy, and he's there, you've got to make the play, and he did it. Earlier in the game, he made that same throw and missed it.
Coach, you know that those 2 tight ends are going to keep those safeties honest. If they can get it to the speed, locked up, the Aggie cornerbacks must hold up in this game. That is going to be a huge item. 1st and 10 now. Kale Aluhi comes in motion for the Cougars. And Sarkisian's going to throw it again. Holds up deep. Incomplete. He wanted McGuire.
They blitzed him. They picked it up, and he's got to hit him. He's 1 for 3 on the big one, and that flag down in the backfield there. See what they called. They brought the house up inside there. Running backs did a pretty good job of picking up everybody
indicating
inside.
that it's a holding call by the defensive player asking the bench what they wanted to do. Bernard Mitchell was getting the signal, and they're going to take him back this time.
Offense 10 yards from the spot of the pile. Repeat, 1st down.
Holding penalty called on Cougars. It's going to be 1st down.
See if we can see now.
That's a two. Watch it, Tui go down. He tackles the man.
Yeah, number 22.
As he comes up to make
has
the
his
stop.
arm around him there. Referee saw that.
And Walker, that's why he went down in a heap. 1st and 25. Sarkisian, Lewis battling to the 40-yard line.
See, they try to get that rub off with the tight end coming inside out, the wide receiver coming down, tight man-to-man coverage on that outside man. They try to scrape those defenders off, bump into each other, and clear it out. That tight end didn't bump him off, but the defender had to bow around a white jersey to get there, so he got there late.
Dick, is your feeling that the Aggies will have to blitz a little bit more than they have?
More than they want to, because they haven't gotten the pressure without the blitz.
2nd down and 16 for the Cougars in Sarkisian. Ball at the Aggie 41-yard line.
Now they got a 5-down lineman situation, Brent. They put a linebacker down, so you can't help anybody.
Sarkisian, and he puts it into the hands of K.O. Kealaluhi. 1st down, Cougars.
See what they did on that? They went to what they call their double eagle defense. They put 5 people down by dropping a linebacker. With 5 people down, that leaves you 6 to cover. So you get some man-to-man coverage back there. See, but the 5 people down, that doesn't allow any offensive linemen to be helped. They didn't need it. They're blocking them one-on-one. Offensive line play, excellent so far.
So K.O. with a 1st down at the Aggie 15-yard line, and A&M uses a timeout here in the 1st half. It's 2013. We're coming right back. 15 of 20 for 169 yards, and he is driving the Cougars again inside the 15-yard line.
See, now A&M is down in a situation where they don't have to a lot of field to defense, so they might as well come in and blitz and play their tight man-to-man coverage.
McKenzie into the Cougar backfield. Lewis over to the right wing. On a little bit of a delay, Atuea.
They tried to trap it again.
Aggies indicating the ball was put down on the ground, but it might have been whistled down. It was.
Now, twice in a row in the red zone, on 1st down, they've gone to split backs, and they've run the draw trap by game plan. They're going to have to eliminate that thought and maybe come off a play action off that same action, because down there, 1st and 10, they've done the same thing twice in a row.
Brandon Mitchell holding 4th in that hole for the Texas A&M defense. Leaves the Cougars now with a 2nd and 11. Sarkisian rolls right. Throws now, and this is Mealy banging again to the 10-yard line, so he picks up 6 yards.
Boy, is he a man.
Let's go to Jackaroot, speaking of Mealy.
Hey, Brent, Mealy is having a great game as a tight end, but think about this. He almost didn't play football. His father went from Western Samoa to Hawaii, and his father was a rugby player. He decided, my son's going to be tough. Drove the kid, as about an 8-year-old, to practice every day. And what Mealy kept saying is, Dad, I don't want to play. Dad, I don't want to play. And he said, well, why, son? He says, they hit you.
Well, he likes it today, Jack.
I know that feeling. Down in 5.
You would.
For the Cougars. Back comes Sarkisian. End zone. Touchdown. BYU. He's got McGuire. Now it's Potchman to tie it.
Boy, the key to that, Brent, was the 2 running backs did an excellent job of stepping up and picking up linebackers, blitzing up inside, took them on right underneath the chin strap, straightened them up, and did a real good job on it. You'll see the running backs here step up and fill on it now, and you'll see the double post pattern here against man-to-man coverage, no free safeties that pop it in there. There it is, really a nice job. Everybody working together, slot to the left side of the formation. He comes underneath. Now, normally I would never allow a corner to play outside a person when he has no help inside. I'm surprised they were playing him outside and let him get inside so easily. They must be playing that way because they're afraid of crossing patterns and they want to chase the crossing pattern from the outside in. Didn't work that time.
State. We'll be hearing from Joe Paterno and John Robinson, both coaches. Potchman kicks it off now for the Cougars.
Great kick.
Great kick. Wow. Out of the end zone.
What did he have for breakfast? Holy mackerel, I want some. See, look at, he's pumped. What a kick.
Jackaroo.
Well, Brent, you shouldn't be surprised about the leg with this kid, Parchman. He went to Washington. He decided to come back to BYU. He was on a soccer scholarship. Now, when he was playing soccer for BYU at one game, he did all of what they call the free kicks. That's when the goalie grabs the ball and puts it back into play. He kicked the ball 90 yards forward in front of the opposing goal, tapped it in, and he got a rare assist. This kid's got a leg.
I should say. 20-20 our score here. He tied it up with the extra point. Hardiman, Parker, behind Stewart, I formation. They are finding it soft in the middle. If there is anything that is definitely in the Aggies' favor, it is at the middle of their offensive line, Coach, doing an outstanding job.
They're doing a good job, and BYU came in concerned about the inside of their defense right there, and you'll see they pop right up inside center, and both guards doing a good job. Pops on the linebacker, and good block, good cutback ability with a running back.
That's 7 yards. Leaves Brandon Stewart of the Aggies 2nd and 3, and they'll swing Parker for the first down, and he's got it.
Nice tackle. But you see, RC has definitely decided, hey, I'm just going to run the play, run the clock out, and go in and not make a mistake trying to score before the half.
There was Muirbrook coming up with that strong hit on the far sideline. So barring some sort of a miracle on either side, we're going to be tied here at the intermission. That will do it. The thrifty Carlino Pigskin Classic. Deadlocked at 20. BYU scoring first, but an extra point was blocked. Texas A&M came back, and then it was the Cougars on the rebound. And Jack Root, Lavelle Edwards has to be happy about what happened late in the first half.
Well, Brent, I'm sure he does. You've got to be extremely pleased with the way you converted that turnover, Coach.
Well, that was big for us, and that's why we went for it on 4th down there to see if we couldn't get a little bit of momentum, because we'd have had about 3 or 4 times where we just had 3 plays and out, and our defense was out there on the field way too much that first quarter and good part of the second quarter, and that was a big play for us, no question.
You were concerned about the offensive line, young and inexperienced. How do you grade them in the first half?
Doing an excellent job. I'm just very pleased with them, and I think if we can just keep some momentum going now and get them and get a few first downs going, that we got some momentum now, and they're starting to get a little bit tired, like our defense was there for a while in that early part of the second quarter.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
So Lavelle Edwards and the Cougars are tied with the Aggies of Texas A&M. And a reminder that we have got coming up at halftime, we're going to hear from both Joe Paterno and John Robinson. Only for those teams in the AP Top 10. And you folks at Tennessee obviously wanted to take a look at Brandon Stewart, who was once a quarterback. You weighed in and jumped the Volunteers ahead of Nebraska. That's how the fans voted over on the right-hand side. And the Fighting Irish with some backers, too. Let's take a look at some highlights here, Coach, from the first half, and the big tight end, Mealy, early.
He has been a factor all through the ball game because he can also catch and run after it. He runs like a halfback or a wide receiver, not a 250-pound tight end.
Then the extra point was blocked, and it was Sir Parker here for the Aggies.
Good running tailback. They toss it up, and good execution by offensive linemen, sealing it off inside. He finds a crack and sticks it in the end zone. And he's playing with a gimpy ankle.
Brandon Stewart with a nice pass here to Oliver.
He proved he can throw the ball downfield here. I look for him to go downfield a little bit more here in the second half.
That the Aggie touchdown. They jump back out. But the Cougars rally. And this to McGuire.
This came after, of course, that series after they recovered that fumble, punt, Brent, and they take it in there on the man coverage and the blitz, stick it in for 6 points, big play.
And moments ago, Jack Root spoke with R.C. Slocum at Texas A&M.
Coach, you looked like you had a good first quarter, but then things fell apart a little bit. What did you tell the squad?
Well, we made some mistakes, I think you got to give BYU some credit. They made some plays, some nice plays. We made some mistakes. One big mistake in the kicking game, and they got a touchdown out of it. Got a good ball game. We knew it was going to be this way. You come on the road and play a team like BYU at home, you know you're in for a tough ball game. We're tied at half. We just need to go out and play, eliminate the mistakes, and play, and it'll be right down the wire, I'm sure.
And could it be that we'd opened the season with the very first overtime? We'll have to wait and see. Still 2 quarters to go. Bryant with that long leg and another touchback as he drives, dive deep into the end zone. Sarkisian and the Cougars. Coach?
Here are the halftime stats, and you really dominated by Texas A&M in time and possession by over 5 minutes in total offense, and BYU only running for 18 yards. But the turnover right here, A&M being -1 really hurts them right there. But you can see the domination in the running game right there. You can see the passing yards, of course, favor BYU. I'll tell you, the turnover right now is the difference. And BYU pass protecting like they have all through that first half, I think have an edge in that the defense might be a little bit tired of rushing the passer.
Mealy catches the first pass as we start the second half from Sarkisian. Run out of bounds on that far side by Larry Walker.
I still would like to see BYU try to establish a little more of a running game, pound on them a little bit, make them defense the run as well as the pass.
25 years for Lavelle Edwards here in Provo.
Has he done it extremely well? I've been in many head coaches' offices. I've never walked in an office when the gift for the day was tomatoes, corn, cucumbers, and squash. That was the first, wasn't it?
Look good. 2nd and 5.
Middle screen.
Dumps off that screen, and it is McGuire battling, and he is just short of the first down.
See, those kind of plays make the defense really run. They penetrate, they push up, force the quarterback to throw. Then they've got to sprint to the sideline to try to make the play on the screen. You wear the defense down. And that pass rush has not been as nearly effective as I anticipated them being coming into the ball game. Lays it out there. Defense has got to come flying now. They need help. 1 tackle miss, 2 tackles miss. McGuire doing a great job.
12 straight completions for Sarkisian as we start the second half. On the third down, Sarkisian, and it is still alive as he hits Lewis, his other tight end, for the Cougar first down.
That's a clever little play. They take the flanker back and run him in motion and hook him over the ball and take the tight end and hook him to the outside. And the quarterback reads between, here he is, he's coming in motion here, and he'll come and hook up, and the tight end will hook up right there, and the quarterback will go 1, 2. Nice design. You see it many times in pro football. Hook up right there, hook up right there. There it is. Clean passing lane, first down.
Brian McKenzie checks in as a running back. And Dick, if the Cougars are to go more to a running game, you would expect the JC transfer to get more into the scheme of things. Kealuhi in motion. This is McKenzie, a quick hitter, found a crease. And a penalty flag is thrown as McKenzie hit it to the 43-yard line.
They ran a trap play inside, meaning the offside guard, in this case the left guard, pulled across the center behind him and trapped the defensive tackle that was not blocked by the guard in front of him. Penalty nullifies everything.
Big Ten officiating crew here in Provo.
A good crew, a good crew. You know, we had 6 penalties in the first half.
Holding number 62 on the offense, 10 yards from the spot of the foul. Still first down.
That's the center. Larry Moore guilty of that infraction.
On a trap play, the center blocks back. In this situation, it was to his left, and he probably hooked with his left arm trying to prevent penetration.
Leaving the Cougars with a 1st and 22. Well, one thing with Honig being allowed to say numbers, some of the offensive linemen will get a little more attention today. Perhaps not the kind they wanted to receive. That's only a couple of holding calls, as you pointed out, Coach, against the Cougars. Ben Cahoon, 86, is the motion receiver. They bring McKenzie sweeping to the left. And McKenzie out to the 35-yard line.
Did a nice job. They handed the ball off deep. The backside guard pulled around there. They got the defensive end hooked to the inside. He and log blocked him, and that means they hooked him and turned him in, and they just bounced right outside the play.
Well, if they can get to the corner with the speed of Brian McKenzie, that can change the entire look of the BYU Cougars this season. Out to the right, Kealuhi averaged 17 yards a catch last season.
Oops. When a nose guard jumps offside and his nose is 1 foot away from the ball, he's listening to the quarterback. And a quarterback is coached to use that strong voice inflection to pull that guy.
Guys, 5 yards, still second down.
I used to say to my nose guards, guys, you're close enough to smell the football. Why in the heck move until it moves?
So 2nd and 8 now for the Cougars, so they make it very respectable, using a completion and a 5-yard penalty. And they start to overcome that holding penalty against them. And now we'll see what they come up with here on 2nd down. Split backs, Sarkisian, and he hands fumble. Aggies recover. The safety and the corner, Justin Lucas, number 14, was able to fall on the loose ball. Texas A&M ball on the turnover in Cougar territory.
They were running a trap play up in the inside, a draw trap, and his own lineman, I think, actually, or back, bumped into him and knocked that out. Was not clean exchange all the way through. Taking a look from the end zone, gets back there, boom, he runs right into his lead blocker. That was Brian McKenzie lead blocking him, and he didn't expect him to be there, and gets the ball knocked loose. Big turnover, first one for them.
Brandon Stewart and the Aggies ready right away from the 47-yard line. Hardiman is in front of Parker. Toss Parker. Seam to the 43-yard line on first down. A gain of about 5 yards.
You know, it's amazing how big Calvin Collins, the offensive center, could pull all the way around after snapping the ball, beat the running back into the point of attack, turn up in the hole, and seal off the linebacker coming inside out. Boy, does he do that real well. He's had his best training camp since he's been at A&M. They say he has his best attitude, obviously trying to improve his position come draft time next year.
It'll be 2nd and 6. Hand off to Parker again to the 40-yard line.
Parker once again.
I really believe if they run a strong play-action pass up inside, the way they're committing to stop the inside run, there's going to be a hole down the middle, Brent, that you could catch the ball in. That is, if there was nobody around to hit you.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. There'd be 11 guys.
I'm just teasing.
Eric Bernard checks in, coach. At running back here on 3rd and 3.
They look like they're coming after him. They are.
The toss is to Bernard, looking daylight, cuts back, first down, loose, touchdown. Texas A&M won't catch him, no chance.
Both teams now have taken the turnover and turned it into a touchdown. That's what you have to do to win football games and stay in football games. The key to that, they blitzed. The key was the fullback. Got a knockdown block on the outside defender coming in on the crash stunt. They knocked him down, Brent, right to the ground, and good running ability. He stuck it up inside. They had committed everybody else inside, rushing, no inside-out pursuit, touchdown.
Kyle Bryant. Aggies regain the lead, up by 7. Early second half of the thrifty Car Rental Pigskin Classic.
BYU is bringing 7 people. Simmons, number 9, comes underneath. Now the corner, McTire, 21, is outside. The fullback cuts him down, and number 49, Ellis, gets there, and he poor inside-out pursuit, and he doesn't make the play. Underneath, cut down. He's got to make the play. He overruns it. Excellent running skill. Don't take it away from the running back. But a linebacker has to make that play inside out.
Well, we could be looking at a non-play right here. Little breeze behind Bryant. Texas A&M now at the Big 12 Conference. Let's see if he legs this one deep again. Yep. Bring it out on the 20. Speaking of the Big 12, Jack Arute, they're making a huge impact with this new conference, and with you is a man who has to be delighted about that prospect.
Brent, he's the commissioner of the Big 12, Steve Hatchell, and everybody's calling it the Super Conference. Nice mix of teams, Steve.
Nice mix of teams, and I think based on the success of last year when we had 7 teams in the top 25 in the country, yeah. I think the expectations for this year were superb, and it's a real credit to our coaches and to our institutions, and we're anxious to get into this season as evidenced by today because we've got so many powers.
One more question after this play, Brent.
All right, Jack, coming right back at you. Sarkisian and the Cougars. Kealalui, the motion receiver, number 3. Johnson, the running back. And back we go to Jack.
Steve, December 7th in St. Louis, another conference game, but this one a championship game. What do you look for out of St. Louis?
Well, first of all, we've got a wonderful facility in a city that is really behind us. We're almost sold out, 65,000 plus. We think it'll be a great showcase for the Big 12, and with our partners ABC, we think this will be a real fun part of all of the Big 12 and a great way to cap our season.
Hey, Brent, what do you think? St. Louis is looking pretty good in December.
Except that Mr. Jackson says he might be headed there. We'll have to wait and see. At any rate, it'll be a dandy. Sarkisian is back. Fires right side, complete, and a first down. Puts it in the hands of Dustin Johnson, slipping out of the backfield.
Boy, when you get everybody out, quarterback can look at the coverage. He looks at the coverage. Everyone's dropping off. They go to a zone, so it's a little bit looser coverage. He doesn't like what he sees underneath, so he lays it off to the outside late. Now it's 1-on-1 with the linebacker coming inside out. He doesn't make the play. He gets upfield, moves the chains.
And the Cougars move those chains, Coach, out to the 45-yard line. The Cougar 45, as you take a look at that Aggie defense.
I think they're starting to suck a little bit in the pass rush, and it's only in the 3rd quarter, Brent.
Remember the altitude here in Utah. It has gotten to a few invaders who have played Brigham Young. Sarkisian handing off to the tailback, not to where, into the arms of Brandon Mitchell.
With the ball, the Cougars, number 22, Mark Myers.
They run right at him to the right. Now, I think even though they don't make a lot of yards, you've got to give the running back and the offensive lineman a chance to attack that defensive front. Make them and force them to tighten up those outside defensive end techniques tighter to your offensive tackle, so it makes it a little bit easier to pass rush big guys like that Mitchell, number 96.
McKenzie is a late substitute into that backfield. Kealaluhi coming in motion again. Sarkisian looking down the hole. Wide open is McGuire. With a block, he'll go. Cut back behind Lewis. Touchdown, Brigham Young.
They blew the coverage.
For the tie. Off to the right. He slipped that one to the right. No good.
Oh,
that is one blocked extra point, one missed.
Boy, this should be automatic, but you can't take it for granted. Here it is. Looks like a clean snap. Yeah, good snap. Placement is good. Should go right between the middle. It does not. It's off to the right side. That changes the complexion of the ball game in terms of the use of two-point plays and everything else as we progress through the ball game, Brent.
Aggies 27, Cougars 26. And this was the play that drew them to within one.
Brent, they blew the coverage. They ended up with 3 guys covering one and nobody covering the wide receiver. They used motion. They blew it.
It's
brought to you by Jeep, makers of the new. About the altitude and fatigue for Texas A&M and their defense.
I think they've got to go to their second rotation in pass rushing against it. They want to bring another speed rusher, move Big Mitchell back to the inside because they're going to wear down these guys. That 4, they're going to wear them out here.
Texas A&M leading 27-26. Cougars with the ball coming out from their own 20-yard line. Senior quarterback Steve Sarkisian has been red hot here of late. Boy, there are some great, loyal, longtime fans of this Cougar football program. McKenzie, the JC transfer. That's Bernard Mitchell holding on. Speaking of fans, let's go to Jackaroo. Jack.
Hey, Brent, we talk about the super fan, Giles Pellerin at USC. We've got one here at BYU. Laura, you started back when you were in the band in 1916 coming to BYU sporting events.
That's right. I was born in Fillmore in 1896. I'll be 100 in December the 15th.
And I'll tell you what, Brent, she's a super fan. She was voted a super fan because not just football. She comes to volleyball, basketball. You go to how many sporting events do you go to, Mrs. Beckstrom?
I go to all of them that I can get to.
Well, Brent, she's enjoying this one.
She sure is as they bust one to KO. Levi Kealaluhi coming out of that backfield. The young man who averaged 17 yards a game. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope we all look as good as she does when
not even to get close. You know, man in motion stuff is really bothering him. They ran KO all the way across the formation of motion. You remember before they blew the coverage and allowed the man in motion guy to screw up the coverage and a post pattern to be thrown. This time they come across, loosen up the coverage. Anticipate more use of wide receiver motion. It's working.
295 yards, 16 straight completions for Sarkisian. 16 in a row. He's going to go now to see if he can make it 17. On the move, he's got it. Right back to KO on the left sideline. He's out of bounds at the 28-yard line.
Norm Chow, the offensive coordinator, doing a real good job of moving the pocket. This time he elects to come outside with the quarterback. Get him outside. He's been going straight back. He's been going straight back. This time he comes outside. It's a rollout all the way now. He comes out off action. He gets out. There's no one in his face. He gets out away from it. Nice clean throw. Coverage again. They're having trouble against slot formations.
Dick, when we came into this game, and we talked about it, and you said, as we have an injured Cougar down on the field right now, we agreed that the big question about the Aggies was their defensive backfield. And early in the season, everybody said, oh, what a tough opener for Lavelle Edwards. Equally tough for R.C. Slocum.
No question. And R.C. said that all along. And I felt that after Brent watching BYU practice. The size of that offensive line, young, yes, inexperienced, yes, but extremely well coached and very big. It's tough to get around a great big guy.
Oh, that time on KO's reception, Greer, the cornerback, slipping here. Sarkisian now has thrown for 320 of those 368 yards. 17 in a row. He has put 4 touchdowns on the board. They should be ahead, but they botched 2 extra points here. Now Sarkisian inside the 30-yard line. Gonna go again. It ends right there, in and out of McKenzie's hands.
Well, they have a rush package when they bring in a pass rushing specialist, Jim Kirby, and they play Keith Mitchell and Kirby at the ends, and they move Brandon Mitchell to the tackle. They have not done that yet, and I really anticipating them doing that because defensive coordinator Phil Bennett plans on doing that. I don't know what he's waiting for, but I'm sure they'll come with it.
Well, Potchman better warm up that right leg in case this one bogs down. He's going to get a chance to make up with the extra point difficulties here today. 2nd down and long now. McKenzie swing right behind the pulling lineman.
Oh, nice tackle. That a way to come in outside. They use the wide slot that they've been running and throwing passes out behind. This time they crack with both outside receivers and sweep to the outside. They got pretty good crack blocks, but great inside-out pursuit defensively.
Sean Horn making that stop on McKenzie.
Right now the secondary is tackling better than they're covering.
And McKenzie going off to the sideline, and they'll bring in the veteran Mark Atuea. This is 3rd and 8.
See, now they get in a wide slot to the wide field. This kind of formation has been bothering him. They come in motion.
That's Lewis slipping out. Sarkisian holding up. Middle intercepted.
Bad throw.
On the turnover, and Rich Cody is free at midfield. Cody, the son of the former Bear, barges his way to the 21-yard line. Big TO for the Aggies.
There was no reason to throw that ball late in the middle like that. Yes, pattern design like that, but there were more white jerseys down the middle than blue jerseys. It's a crossing type pattern. He's looking right down into the hole. There's a crossing pattern right there, and he throws it behind. You'll see 2 white jerseys right there, and Cody takes off with it. That's his first interception in his career.
And look at who finally gets to him.
Big John Tate. That's a sophomore freshman, a redshirt freshman tackle flying down there.
So now Brandon Stewart and the Aggies off the turnover. Parker hangs into the middle.
Not good running. They had a nice hole blocked inside, and he ran right into the block. He has got to be able to see that if he's going to take advantage of that kind of blocking. Working through training camp with a tender ankle, a good young football player. We saw him at the end of the year. He's from Los Angeles, California, out of Locke High School. They recruit him from all over the country, more so from Texas.
Hardiman lines up in the eye in front of Parker. The toss to Parker. Behind Hardiman. Hole inside the 10-yard line. 1st and goal, Aggies.
You said behind Hardiman. I'm very impressed today with the blocking of the running backs. They're all doing a good job. Not all the most physical guys, but Hardiman is physical. 5'11", 225, replacing Detron Smith. They toss the ball deep, and the fullback to the right side of your screen got a knockdown block. You got a good block that time from Calvin Collins as well. But you can be in position to make the play. If some guy knocks you down, offense wins.
Now Stewart comes right back with Hardiman as the runner. About the 7-yard line where it'll be 2nd and goal. DeAndre Hardiman. He gave the Wolverine defense some fits in the Alamo Bowl, and now Lavelle Edwards with his hands full. Parker on a cutback for the 6, and it is 3rd and goal.
Real good defense that time. Shea Muirbrook, he is a football player. All Southwest in 95, all WAC conference rather in 95. Making plays, misses one once in a while because it gets too aggressive and overruns it. But other than that, he's at the point of attack.
Aggies use a timeout. Stewart wants to talk about this third down. Next Saturday, the PGA Tour in Wisconsin for the Greater Milwaukee Open, presented by Light Beer. And we'll have some regional action on ABC's college football. Top Big Ten game, Illinois goes to Ann Arbor to face the Wolverines. Washington State invades Colorado, Clemson against North Carolina, or Texas Tech against Kansas State. So check your local listings for the game on your ABC station. And the game's available from your cable operator next Saturday on pay-per-view on ABC Sports. So here is Stewart over to talk about it on this third down. Dick, are you a little surprised at the way he'd been throwing the ball that the Aggies didn't elect to put it up in the air on first or second down?
No, I'm really not, because I've been sitting up here and saying you've got to make sure you get some running game in there to keep them honest, and I don't fault them on that. I'm curious as to why A&M didn't come back with that play action stuff and get over the middle, because I mean it is there.
Jack Root.
Hey, Brent, you're talking about maybe why they didn't put it up in the air. Well, think about this fact. They're not used to having a great quarterback. The only Aggie quarterback in the past 55 years to be taken in the first 7 rounds of the NFL draft, Gary Kubiak. So he was a backup to John Elway. The most successful quarterback for A&M, Mike Mosley, he was drafted in '81 in the 3rd round, but he was drafted as a wide receiver, and he played as a wide receiver.
Third down and goal for Brandon Stewart and the Aggies. Hit Hardiman for the touchdown.
They go in motion and get 3 receivers to one side, then move the quarterback toward that. They get the slots coming down inside to seal off the defense, and then throw the out pattern, the little slant pattern right to the sideline, slant him right to the sideline. Big drive. You turn it over too many times, you're gonna lose.
Bryant for the extra point. And there's the young man. You talked about him as a blocker. He's an all-around back. Not only has he run from scrimmage, but now he catches a pass for 6 points.
Well, they want to get the balls to the back out of the field, out of the backfield, and that's what they're doing. They did that effectively in the slot formation. They come down with both wide receivers, and they get a little rub right there. That's actually not legal. That should be called a pick all the way. I mean, that was glaring. An official should not miss that. Take another look at that. The pick will occur to the right side of your screen there. They bump right into the receiver and knock him off in coverage. That's why he's out there so cleanly.
I want to follow up on what Jack Root was saying about Texas A&M not known for quarterbacks, and certainly here at BYU they are. And so our research department went to work, and I want you to take a look at this one. Touchdown passes in the National Football League by quarterbacks from BYU versus quarterbacks from Texas A&M. 398 for Steve Young and Jim McMahon and friends. Bucky Richardson must have a few of those 50. That is a huge difference.
Oh. 2 different ways to play football, but I think that's gradually going to change, because R.C. Slocum says he wants a balanced offense that can both run and pass an equal number of times, and with this kind of quarterback in his backfield, he can do that. He does not restrict you in anything in game planning or preparation.
So the sights and sounds of how we got here. We start the 4th quarter. Texas A&M leading by 8 points. Do we have the prospect of our first overtime, that major rule change? Well, we'll wait and see. Cougars have got the ball. They need a touchdown and a 2 to tie it. Now Sarkisian back in the pocket. Slips the rush. fires complete. Walker brings down the receiver close to a first down. Atahualpa out of the backfield.
They tried to run that same pattern that they scored on, but the coverage this time stayed with the coverage. They stayed in their man-to-man. They didn't turn anybody loose. Here, taking a look at the stats here at the end of the third quarter, you see it's balanced out total offense yards, but being -1, BYU. See the turnovers, -1. That's the killing them so far. Time of possession in favor of A&M.
1st and 10 for Sarkisian and the Cougars. And the handoff is to Jenkins.
Nice play by
And Holdeman in that hole against the young running back.
This linebacker corps, Brent, we may not see a better group, 3 guys starting, than this group. Larry Walker, Nat Wynn, and Warwick Holden the rest of the year. They are a nice pair, and they can all run. And when they get there, they're mad. They knock your helmet off.
Not much fun when they meet you.
No, they're really solid athletes.
2nd and 7.
Bringing them up inside.
Pocket holds. Sarkisian fires complete to KO. First down to the 45-yard line. Jackaroot, I sense it's getting a little warm down there on the field.
Yeah, Brent, it is. In fact, they've been forecasting that about this time of the day, it'll go up into the high 90s. And I'll tell you what, wearing this blue coat, trust me, it's in the high 90s. But here's the key. In this fourth quarter, you've got to take a look at the conditioning of both sides of athletes. Now, BYU's used to playing in this altitude, used to playing in this heat. Texas A&M, on the other hand, has got to begin to conserve. Ed Jasper went off there with an injury, simply a stinger. But guys are starting to cramp up.
All right, Jack, don't cramp up. Take that coat off first. 1st and 10 now. Sarkisian back again. Outstanding offensive line. Complete to the 45. I got to tell you something, Dick. This Cougar offensive line is a load for the defense of the Aggies.
As we said early in the game, they're the biggest we've seen in years, and I'll tell you, there's not an ounce of fat on any one of them. It was a crossing pattern coming all the way underneath. You'll see him, Kaipo McGuire, number 80, right there in the middle of the screen. He takes the hit, but it takes a long time to execute that pattern. And believe me, he had all the time he needed. They're going to have, if they're not going to blitz linebackers, they're going to have to start using line stunts to try to get someone in that quarterback space because they are not getting any inside pressure right now.
Horn is on one corner with Williams on the other. And Horn has loosened up. No bump and run on the left side. Sarkisian got it on the other side. Oh, what a catch at the 10-yard line by Cahoon.
Pattern. Now that puts the slot man on a safety man-to-man, and he went down and hooked up, and they ran the post pattern in behind him. Very well executed. Did a nice job of throwing it. Good protection. To the right side of your screen, he throws it right down the hole. There's no safety there because they're in man across the board. The slot man hooked up, tied up the coverage in there. There he is.
I don't care about all that razzle-dazzle.
It worked.
That was some catch by young Mr. Cahoon, ladies and gentlemen. He was stretched flat out. 1st and 10 at the 10 now for the Cougars. And standing in that hole right now was Sean Coryat. Yeah, that's a familiar name, folks, and a familiar number. That's the young brother of the legend from down Texas A&M way. Watch him stand tall on this baby.
We're a long ways from this hit, but I'll tell you, you could feel it and almost hear it from up here. He really nailed him. And, you know, I've noticed him in kickoff coverage today, too. I mean, he has been a factor. He's going to be a fine player, just like his brother.
And he has sent his first player,
where did that truck come from?
Froggy, over to the sideline.
Was that a semi or a Mack truck that hit me?
Now the ball is back at the 13-yard line. 2nd down coming up for the Cougars. Need this plus a 2 to draw even. And Sarkisian will use a timeout.
Didn't like what he saw.
It's 34-26. 12 minutes to go in regulation. The Aggies lead it.
We're back here, and a few plays ago, they executed a beautiful slot combination pattern. Wide receiver here. McGuire comes down and hooks up, ties up the safety. Now you get the post pattern in behind to 86 Ben Cahoon. The other safety did not get over to help because they're playing a 4 across the board coverage. Hook up, go behind, throw complete. Big play, great catch.
33 yards.
Big time throw, too.
Now from the 13 coach. Second down. Sarkisian has thrown for 385 yards. They press on the right. Sarkisian on the release. Completed diving Kealaluhi, and he is complaining about being pushed.
Boy, they got right up there in his face, gave him lunch, tried to get it off. The pressure will come from the right side of your screen. Here it comes. That's Nat Wynn, the middle linebacker. Obviously, the center guard didn't switch off properly and pick that up as they should. He gets home free. But what an effort to try to make the big play. Nice job. Been out of bounds anyway, but you got to give him credit for making the effort.
So it is third down.
They're going for across again.
Right side, touchdown BYU, and it was James Dye, the speedster.
They're making all kinds of mistakes covering those slot patterns.
Now they need the 2 to tie it. Now, Coach, obviously they need the 2 to draw even here with 11:53 to go.
You know, and they have such a great inside short passing game. Last year they were 2 for 5 in this situation in converting 2-point conversions.
KO in motion. The tight ends are there. Back flare. A long way for Johnson. Johnson's got a hurry. He's in. Yes! This the play that pulled BYU back in it to speedster James Dye, then the 2-point conversion. He's a Juke on ABC Sports, brought to you by great cars in over 50 countries around the world. Best of all, it's thrifty. Chevrolet trucks, the most dependable and longest lasting trucks on the road. Burger King, where you can get your burger's worth. And the new Coors Light wide mouth can. Tap the Rockies with a smoother pour. 68 points on the board here in Cougarville. Provo, Utah. 34 all, 10:29 left in regulation.
A little different lineup mechanic that time. They came out of the huddle in 2 groups.
Sarkisian rolling, moving the pocket, comes back wide open in the middle. McGuire in a foot race to the 30, 25, still going, down at the 13-yard line.
Brent, that's the first time they've used that huddle mechanic. The offensive line came out, got set, and the rest of the backs and receivers stayed in the huddle and then broke late, sprinted out, lined up, and ran the play. Clever. I have never seen a split huddle break like that. Again, now they have 3 receivers now. 1, 2, 3 at the top of the screen. Those kind of formations, 2 receivers slot, have given them a lot of problems. They come out on the action. Now he comes all the way underneath. Freeze it right there, right in the middle of the screen. He came from the outside in there. Big hole. Now it's a foot race.
Now it is 1st and 10 also. Cahoon is in motion. They run the delay. Johnson battles free. Second effort to the 8-yard line.
Edward Jasper was trying to drag him down from the back. Again, they tried to trap up inside, and it didn't work. It broke down behind the point of attack with Jasper's good defensive penetration.
Well, I remember a pretty talented bunch of Miami Hurricanes who came storming out here to Provo, Utah one time. Shaking up Aggie right now. That was a much more arrogant bunch of athletes than Texas A&M brought in here, judging from what we saw around the practice field and everything. But I remember the Cougars sticking it to them pretty good that night.
Tell you what, the job that the offensive line has done for BYU, it has allowed them to exploit the weakness of the A&M defense. The young, inexperienced secondary. They lost 3 starters last year, and they've been hanging on the entire game.
So at the conclusion of the game, Coach, we'll have the Chevrolet Most Valuable Player of the Game from each team. Chevrolet has awarded nearly $6 million to the scholarship funds of America's colleges and universities throughout this program. Alive in Provo. Probably doesn't feel quite as sweet as beating Utah, but it'll be up there with it if they can get it done.
Utah's supposed to have a heck of a football team this year.
Oh, he's got that program together.
Yes, he does. They can make a first down here before scoring.
That's next. Second down and 7. Sarkisian roll right. Wide open. Penalty flag is down.
Clever.
Mealy out at the 2, but the flag is thrown.
Clever play. They have 2 tight ends in a wing situation. The tight end on the line of scrimmage, a wing back. They keep one tight end in to block, the wing. They roll out behind him. And he blocks, and then he releases, and they just drop him the football. Clever little nickel and dime play. Tough to cover. Good design by Lavelle Edwards and his staff. Norm Chow, the offensive coordinator.
Maybe just short of that first down. Well, R.C. Slocum's sideline, and I'll tell you somebody whose stomach has to be churning a little bit, and that is R.C.'s young quarterback. Here in his first game since transferring from Tennessee, he's in a major shootout in Provo, Utah.
Holding on the defense. Half the distance to the goal. Automatic first down.
And it'll be first and goal on that penalty. So they bring the ball back to the 4-yard line as a result of the penalty, but they get an automatic first down. They were waiting to see if Mealy had stepped inside the chain and had given them a first down. That would have given them first and goal from the 2. They did not. The Cougars say, we want the downs. Brian McKenzie slips into the backfield. They like him on the sweeps with the speed, the youngster from JC. They'll hand to him. He comes over to the right, looks for that seam. It is not there. It is second and goal.
That defense is so quick. If you don't get a cut down block somewhere to stop the inside out pursuit, you just can't get outside with that type of play. There were more white jerseys there than blue jerseys. They're just so quick. They stretch it, keep it going to the sideline. Look at the white jerseys now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them. Quarterback run that same thing. Keep the ball and come off on a bootleg back out the outside. Tight end delay. Throw it in the flat. Touchdown. You call that one, will you, Brent?
Down it goes.
And they have that, too. They do have that in their game plan.
Atuwaya, the veteran, behind Sarkisian. There it is. Roll left. Got to throw it. He is down at the 10-yard line as Greer came off the corner.
Coach Bill Bennett comes with a safety blitz. Can't account for him, and especially when you're rolling away with your back to him. He's from the outside. Quarterback can't see him rolling away from him. He gets home. And you can't account for him in your blocking scheme either. 1 sack, the first sack of the game by one of the best sacking defenses in the country. Had 42 of them last year. That's a lot of sacks.
The wheels are spinning on both sides on this one.
They're going to get in the slot formation.
Third down from the 11-yard line for the Cougars.
They're bringing 5, going to rush 6. Oh, they bring 7.
Nobody open.
Away. Don't sack. Oh. Never take a sack and move your chains back in a field goal situation like that. Throw it out of the back of the end zone. He knows better. That's the second sack they've gotten, both here just in the last couple snaps. See, they brought the pressure, they took the pattern away downfield. Now, throw it in the end zone. Didn't do it. Here comes big 99, Pat Williams, and he's been a factor most of the ball game.
So here's the young man, Ethan Potchman. Missed an extra point, had a second one blocked.
No kicking experience.
No good. A first and goal from the 4-yard line. The Cougars come up empty.
Coaches always hate to leave the responsibility of a game in an inexperienced field goal kicker's hands. That's what happened here.
Close. It came right down to the last play for the Wolverines.
Lobs it. Hayes is there. Out of the end zone. Touchdown. They give it to him. He has 1 foot in. He's got it. 4th down. Scotty drives back. Has pulled it out. This baby's over.
And now, a year later, the Thrifty Car Rental Pigskin Classic heads 10-yard line. 4:12 left in regulation. We could be headed in for overtime on the first game of the new season. 68 points have been scored. Stewart now hands off, and Sir Parker, having returned from the injury, is eaten up, and Brad Martin, out of California, one-time high school quarterback, steps into that hole and stops Parker, who will now come out. Somewhat surprisingly, he was in there, although he has been in much of the game. He's had a whale of a game, but he was shaken up, and Eric Bernard now replaces him.
They've got to put a little more responsibility in this series in the quarterback's hands and let him make a play.
2nd and 12. This time, pocket holes, comes underneath beautifully to Hawkins. Hawkins runs free. First down at midfield. Hale, the safety, with the stop.
Yeah, it was this 5-step drop. The outside receiver came underneath the slot, makes the play. Both schools having trouble defensing the slot formation. Nice call, a simple throw. He just settles in the zone right there. They pop it to him, and Dante Hawkins is a pretty good runner.
So now half the field to work with for Brandon Stewart and the Aggie offense. Slot is again over to the left side, the wide side of the field. Stewart getting time, comes back right side, and another first down.
See, in that formation with a slot to the field, they get both corners over to the slot. Now they get the tight end being covered by Lane Hale, 25, a strong safety, and they have a lot of confidence in their tight end's athletic ability, so they just put him in a one-on-one situation and throw him the football. Good call by Steve Ensminger.
One of the things the Aggie coaches will also keep an eye on, they want to bring this clock down as far as they possibly can. It's inside of 3 minutes. Bernard squirts to the 30-yard line. They would settle for, believe me, getting the ball down inside the 20, inside the 15, and a Bryant field goal attempt with time running out in regulation. There is Bryant.
I'll guarantee you, though, they're thinking touchdown because they don't have a lot of confidence in this guy yet because he had a terrible year last year until the Michigan game when he went 5 for 5. They would like to win it without putting the responsibility in the field goal kicker's hands.
Coming down inside at 2:25 now on 2nd down. Here's Bernard. Hole is plugged to the 29-yard line. And this will be 3rd down now coming up for the Aggies. Big play, both sides.
Get the quarterback on the corner up. Misdirection. Boy, they're converging on that inside stuff. Fake in there, come outside. Jesus, fun to play call the plays from up here, Brent. No sweat.
Matt Mahone comes in to give an extra tight end on this play. It is going to be 3rd and 5 as they slip 84 into that Aggie offensive look right now. Hawkins to the right. Connell's over here to the left.
See, the 2 tight ends now give them a place to run both ways.
Short drop, got him, and it's Connell, the big play man of a year ago. Aggies lead on the touchdown to Connell. They burn McTire.
They put the 2 tight ends in there to block the 2 outside linebackers. They've got a good blocking surface all the way across in front of them.
But there's a flag, and this may be against A&M. It is.
Oh, my gosh. The corner covering on that, Tim McTire, fell down. He slipped and fell. There was no contest.
Eligible downfield, a covered tight end on offense.
Wide receiver must have lined up on the line of scrimmage and covered him. We'll take a look at that here. One of these guys, I'll tell you, the ball, that's not a good call. He's far enough off, and so is he. I don't think it's a good call. See where that ball is?
Now, third down.
Lined up wrong.
And 10. The ball back at the Cougar 34-yard line on this third down. Stewart rolls to the left. Fires incomplete. And it is fourth down. So here comes Bryant. He has kicked in his career a 60-yarder. In fact, Tony Franklin and Bryant are the only kickers in the history of Texas A&M to nail 60-yard field goals, as I recall. He made a 45-yarder and a 43-yarder here.
They're late getting keep on.
This, the 52-yard attempt for Kyle Bryant. Got it! 3 for 3, Kyle Bryant, who hit 5 against Michigan in the Alamo Bowl, now puts the Aggies up by 3. Lavelle Edwards' offense with 1:27 and 2 timeouts to work with. Jackaroot, big moment for Bryant.
And Brent, it's a moment that he talked about as early as this morning. I went and talked to Kyle Bryant, and I said, what do you think about overtime? He says, I'm not interested in overtime. I know that it's going to come down to me for this game, and I'm ready. I said, how far can you kick it? He says, you give me anything inside the 50, I'm putting it between the uprights. This kid, Kyle Bryant, thought about this all morning. I talked to him just before he went out there, and he said, hey, we don't get enough credit as kickers. We win a lot of games. I'm going out to win this one.
They always say that. That was a heck of a job by that young man. Heck of a job.
A 52-yarder. And go back to the first one he missed today, but got a second chance because there was illegal procedure. Play was dead before the miss. Then he came back and nailed the longer one. And now adds 2 more, including the 52-yarder, which boosts the Aggies into a lead at 1:27.
What a boost for his confidence in the remainder of the year.
Now Dye and Jenkins are back deep. Remember, that is the light breeze that Kyle will be kicking off into. And I believe there's a whistle. Hold on. Delay a game. Going to back him up and going to guarantee a return for either Dye or Jenkins. Because he was short from the 35, and now you would think that the young man would be short here too, but let's see. Sarkisian ready to go back to work with the offense. Rips one.
Nailed it. It's low. Gets there quickly. Should be able to get a return.
From the 10, the 15, the 22-yard line. And that was Michael Williams, the young running back number 13, making the stop on the special teams for the Aggies. So that'll be right next when we wrap this game up. An injured Cougar player down at the 20-yard line.
Well, they've got 2 timeouts left, and of course the clock stops with every first down. They've got a lot of time. Their offense is designed to play within a 2-minute scheme all the time. Nobody better equipped to run a 2-minute drill in this kind of situation than BYU, a la maybe, you know, University of Florida, Florida State. I mean, this is their style of game. Of course, they would rather be ahead at this time.
Sarkisian ready, down 3. And with this drill in mind, they back it up into the shotgun look.
They show a 5-man rush and come with it. That's all singled up there now.
sideline, and he works it to perfection for a first down. McGuire, the receiver that time. And the genuine Chevrolet most valuable players of this game, the young man who just hit the 52-yarder, Kyle Bryant from Texas A&M, and Steve Sarkisian, the quarterback of BYU. Chevrolet donates $1,000 to each school's general scholarship fund to reward outstanding students for their academic achievements. It's been a Chevrolet tradition for more than a quarter of a century. First and 10.
Shotgun.
Sticking right with it on their 2-minute drill, giving them a little more time to eye the defense. In the middle, wide open, they hit KO across midfield to the 45. Kealaluhi and the Cougars now with a life.
Those deep crossing patterns take so much time. They were in a zone. He just kept coming, but no pass rush. That shotgun gave him a little bit more time. It gave him good vision. Comes all the way downfield. Now it's a long time. 1,001, 1,002. It took him a long time to get there. And now they're chasing him. Here comes the white jerseys. But a big, big play.
McGuire down for the Cougars. He has been one of their valuable wide receivers here today.
Well, Coach told us the other day he will make the tough catch. He can also, he said, make the big run after a catch, but not with a cramp. He's not going to do it. And if he's cramping, imagine how the A&M defenders feel. Now what do you do as a defensive coordinator, Brent? Do you decide to blitz him and go tight man, or do you sit back there and play your zone coverages?
Well, they show a regular rush. Deep ball. Touchdown. BYU leads. Levi Kealaluhi, the KO punch. The 6th touchdown pass of the day for Steve Sarkisian. The extra point is good. Hodgman adds it and makes it a 4-point BYU lead. That would take Bryant and a field goal out of the game. The Aggies must go the hard way now with 1:03 left.
Here they are, 1-on-1. Number 26, Andre Williams, looking at the receiver. They're going down to the right side of your screen. He looks back. He can't make the play. He got beat on the step. The ball was thrown perfectly. Can't do it any better. And is he excited? Another look here to the left side of your screen. A good little change of pace initially in the stem. Not bursting full speed. Slowed the corner down. Then he burst. A little more steam left in his sprint. He gets in the end zone for 6 points. Wow.
The wacky, wacky West. .103 to go. Jennings and Hall back deep.
Good kick. Look at that kick.
Out of the end zone.
One timeout left. 1:03. Talk about it putting a new quarterback in a program under pressure. Brandon Stewart, it's on you now. Sarkisian, junior college transfer. Second year at BYU, last year at BYU. What a great performance.
Shotgun for the Aggies and Stewart. Our good runner needs the sideline.
Had to do that.
Got it. Wanted the first down, and then he realized with only one timeout he had to reach that sideline, which he did. and he also gave the Aggies a first down. The clock ticks away 56 seconds.
The only trouble with the run is it eats up. That took up 7 seconds. Playing loose zone coverage right now. Rushing for. Check
underneath
down.
In the middle, and didn't get the first down. Can't stop it with a first down. They came to Hardeman out of the backfield. Martin was the defender. The clock continuing to run. They don't want to use that timeout if they can avoid it. He can always stop it by slamming it down, but Stewart appears to have one called. He does. Second and short. Fires. It'll stop now as soon as Connell gets out of bounds. First down stops at 2. 28 seconds to go.
He's got to take some chances now in that deep zone to hit some creases and corner patterns to the sideline in front of rolled up coverage and behind rolled up coverage, Brent, and in front of deep coverage.
First down from the 46 of the Aggies. Stewart back to the middle. It is complete. Into the 34. Clock will stop on the first down at 18 seconds. Still plenty of time for the Aggies.
He did a nice job of sliding away that time from the rush, maintaining concentration downfield and locating that receiver. They want to tighten up that zone coverage now.
You have to be impressed with how confidently Stewart is driving this team. He just looked at his wristband and called fumble. Sweet revenge in Provo.
It appeared he was moving away from rush with the ball in his hand, not two hands on the ball. He wanted to be able to throw the ball quickly, so he has it out and away from his body, not protecting the ball with both hands. To the right side of your screen, see he's got one hand on the ball, and it just slips right out of his hand as he steps up forward.
Darren Yancey, number 97 from Blackfoot, Idaho, wraps it up. Put it in the record book, ladies and gentlemen. This one is for every Cougar fan who remembers what happened to Detmer in the Holiday Bowl. It was a wonderful college football game and a marvelous way to open up the longest season in history. Down we go to Jackaroo.
Well, Coach, you said you wanted to keep it close. You really kept it close. Congratulations.
That's certainly not the score I would have predicted. I'm so proud of the guys, the way they hung in there. They just kept coming back and playing hard and doing what they had to do. It's just one of the great victories we've had here.
Well, Brent, it's Bedlam down here. Let's go back to you.
Jack, thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to college football 96. BYU wins it on this touchdown pass. Keolaluhi hauls it in. And the Cougars win it 40.